So it turns out Binance may be in trouble in the same way that FTX was in trouble, and the story is actually pretty crazy. So let me show the headlines and we'll jump right in. You can see here, text from crypto giant Binance reveal plan to elude U.S. authorities. And if you have to ask me, it doesn't look good. There's a lot of information. This is coming from the Wall Street Journal. They have a ton of different stuff. And basically, if you want a smoking hot article, this is the one. This is from Binance spokesperson. We acknowledge that we did not have adequate compliance and controls in place during the early years. So basically, they're admitting wrongdoing. We are a very different company today when it comes to compliance. So you can decide if that's truthful or not. So they're saying maybe in the past, not so good, but today, hey, we're all golden. That's what they say. And then this is a Binance .us spokesperson. So these are two different people, I guess. Binance US was founded specifically to serve US customers with products and services that adhere to US rules and regulations. And basically what's going on is, yes, there was a Binance.com and a Binance.us, but essentially the government is sort of making the case that Binance.us was more controlled by Binance.com than was originally sort of reported or originally sort of made to look, right? So we're basically looking at the reason why this is a big issue is if Binance.com had more control over US than previously said, and then US law can dictate sort of what's going on with Binance.us. And then because Binance.com is part of the US more than we thought, they may have, the US authorities that is, have made more control over Binance.com. That's the basic gist of it. I know I explained it kind of like a weird way, but this whole story is a bit weird. There's a bunch of other stuff going on as well. Like, for example, what they did, Binance, they bought this thing called BAM trading, and it was a way for them to get into the U.S. market because, frankly, Americans are worth a lot of money. And the other thing that's really interesting as well is they were trying to sort of hide who the owner is. So we're talking about CZ, right? Mr. Zhao. So they're saying he controls BAM companies through entities incorporated in the Cayman Islands and the British Virgin Islands. So like shell companies, like kind of shady stuff, you know? And we've seen this kind of stuff before with these sort of situations. Other things as well is basically when back in 2019, that is. So this is Jin Chao, but so Binance, the strategy officer. But the basic gist of it is like they were using like all the employees and say, hey, you know, what people do you know in the government? How can we make connections? How can we pull strings? This kind of stuff. And so like they were saying, oh, you know, she had a high school friend named Sigal Mandelker, and that was like someone in the Treasury Office of Foreign Assets. Like they were trying to like figure out what connections they could get. And moreover, and there's a whole bunch in there. I'm just going over it's kind of the highlights. This is also very interesting. So, and the reason why we know this is because I guess we have a bunch of like text messages and emails and stuff from inside Binance. So my hunch, this is my hunch, and they haven't said, but my hunch, because you got to protect your sources, is that the Wall Street Journal is sort of, you know, contacting everybody, and then maybe people who are kind of afraid of what could happen to them are, you know, slowly leaking stuff. So I think pressure is being put on, and my guess would be maybe pressure on the U.S. branch, but who knows? I mean, I don't know. I'm just telling you this is sort of how you get this information, because they throughout the article, they just keep saying, you know, we have documents and tests and stuff like that. But the one thing that was very fascinating, they were saying they were trying to attract Gary Gensler, so is the head of the SEC, and fascinating thing is, true story, I guess Gensler wouldn't play ball. So you can read this here. In 2018-2019, Binance staff approached Gary Gensler, then former Commodities Future and Trading Commission chair, say former, now SE chair, to become an advisor, right? Mr. Gensler, then teaching at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, right? MIT, was, quote, likely back in regulated seat if the Democrats win in 2020, right? So they were already planning ahead. And then they were saying here, Elon Zhong, then head of Binance Venture investing arm, and Harry Zhao, met with Mr. Gensler in 2018, according to the chat. Mr. Zhao, Joe wrote, I observed that while Gensler declined advisorship, he was generous in sharing licensed strategies. So this is really interesting. So he's declining like sort of official connection, but he is talking to them. So who knows? I'm not claiming one thing or the other, because later they say here that they kept talking to Mr. Gensler, right, to Gary Gensler, but he declined. He could decline to be an advisor. This is what it's saying here. So I think this kind of stuff is very interesting because essentially it shows that these kind of companies like a Binance, like an FTX, because guys, the reason why I knew about FTX, if you follow my old videos, is that it was widely reported that Sam Bankman-Fried was buying people all throughout government and buying former regulators and these kind of things. And this is sort of what raised my sort of ears, I guess you could say, or, you know, raised my red flags. And I started basically making videos about these things. Financing was not reported like this. So I didn't know that they were like trying to contact, you know, people well ahead of, what was it, 2018, 2019, these kind of things. So it's very, very interesting. And evidently they got a ton of chats. Like, keep saying this. Some messages in Binance US Telegram channel suggested that Binance oversaw at least part of their budget. That this is important because, again, we're talking about who's controlling the money and who's messaging who, these kind of things. So more and more is going to come out. The other stuff that's going on is the senators. There's 3 senators, I believe. I think it's like Warren and a couple others. I can't remember all their names. It might say right here, but they're basically saying, hey, Binance, it looks like you're money laundering. You're doing a bunch of, you know, crazy things over there. Please show us evidence, essentially is what's going on. And you can actually read the full letter here. They're saying, yeah, it was like unlicensed money transmission, criminal sanctions evasion, money laundering conspiracy, a bunch of stuff. And then they ask for basically full documents. One of the things that I've always said about crypto is there's a lot of dirty money in the system, right? Money laundering, a lot of money crossing borders, these kind of things. And one thing that's really quite interesting, though, is when this is all going down, Binance was really, really worried about U.S. regulations. They're trying to figure out ways to get around it, to be very frank. And the other thing, too, is I think they were saying they're giving random, not random, but just sort of ballpark figures of where, like, customers that are interested in Binance that are U.S.-based could be anywhere from, I was looking at, it looks like between 20 to 30%, like quite a lot of money in Binance is from the U.S. So they'll probably give you different numbers. I'm just giving you a rough estimate of all the different things that I've read. It depends probably who you ask and how honest they will be. Now, I'm putting this together also to a TikTok because I think all of these things relate. We keep seeing headlines as well, like you can read this here. Senators to launch bill that will help prohibit foreign technology like TikTok. Because one of the things is now TikTok's a Chinese company. Binance is not officially. Binance did start in China, and then they actually moved out of China to set up shop because they were worried about regulations. Like these crypto people, they're all about evading regulations. And then, guys, I really get it. People who like crypto, they say, well, Chris, that's the idea. You know, we hate those governments, and we want a currency that's free of government control, that kind of stuff. I really get that. I mean, I understand that. And I'm just saying that these companies are purposely trying to help you in that mode if you want to evade the government, which some people obviously do if you have large sums of money that you need to be clean, this kind of stuff. You guys get my feeling on this. And the thing that really sort of, kind of been signaled as well is the Biden administration has been saying, they're looking at limiting investment in Chinese tech. This is all recently. So I think all these things are connected to where their government is actually getting serious about this kind of stuff. This is over on the Binance website, Binance.us, I should say. And they say, we empower you to do more with your money. You can take that whatever you want. But yes, if you give your money to Binance, they're going to do more with it than you thought was happening. And one thing I thought was interesting is they were saying in the articles is that I guess the government's like not sure where the Binance headquarters is. Now that part was weird to me. I'm just telling you, that part was weird to me because I looked it up. And this is on their website. So they do say they have an address. So there is an address for the Binance, and they do have a Binance team. This is Binance.us, that is. Because again, this whole investigation is how close are the ties between Binance.com and Binance US. That's basically what we're talking about here. And the one address was like here. This was like in Palo Alto. There was like a couple different addresses. Another one, it was here, which is actually true story, close to Lucasfilm. They're like Lucasfilm is right here, and then one Binance office is there. So I came up with a couple of addresses. Is either one of these legit? Who knows? Like I said, the article said there was some question about where the headquarters is. The thing is, though, there are USA employees, so they must work somewhere. But for all we know, they all could work at home, like theoretically. So I don't know. The other thing too I want to bring up to your attention is this is sort of, you can take a look at this, but this is the history of Binance, and it said it was started in China. But this was the one I wanted to mention is that on YouTube, this is very real. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that push Webull to you guys, and some will spend a whole video, every video they'll say, for 1 minute, you gotta go Webull, you gotta go Webull. They'll do that. And I want you to be very clear on this, is that Webull is a Chinese company. Now, yes, Webull, has a US branch. Yes, that's totally true. But if Binance has a US branch and it turns out that, it's way more controlled by, Binance.com than they were, forthcoming with. And also too, if it turns out like, data is being transferred back to China, just for example, because the Webull situation is actually owned by Fumi Technology, which is a Chinese company. And who knows? I'm just saying, I don't know. Who knows? I'm just bringing this attention to you because I mentioned this to you in the past, and there were some people in the comments that said they didn't know Webull was a Chinese company. It is. Yes, they have a USA branch, but it's a Chinese company. The same way that MooMoo is also a Chinese company. Now, I know a lot of channels push Webull and MooMoo, and I just wanted to give you full disclosure. I get emails from MooMoo and Webull all the time. I'm telling you. And they offer actually decent money. As you probably know on my channel, I don't promote them. I don't. So not everyone takes the money all the time. I'm telling you, these guys offer real money, and I could take it, but I don't feel comfortable, and that's why I'm sharing this with you. So you can decide what you think your money is safe, but I don't push these platforms. Also, to be honest, I think MooMoo is not a great platform. I actually think Webull, in terms of their interface, I think Webull interface is pretty good. But I question the quality of their trades, and I'm just being honest with you guys. I question the quality of the trades because sometimes when something is free, you may not necessarily be getting a great execution. And I'm just telling you guys the truth about this. MooMoo is also owned by Futu, and Futu's been in trouble with the Chinese government lately. So this has been the crazy stuff going on, and as it relates to Binance, TikTok, MooMoo, Webull, all this stuff. And I want to make it really clear. Now, Binance isn't necessarily a Chinese company in the way that the other ones are, but I'm putting these all together because the U.S. is cracking down on this kind of stuff. And we're dealing with, money and your own personal data. So do what you see is fit, what you think is fit. So I just want to bring this to your attention. So thanks again for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this thing. And also too, if you haven't seen the video that I made right before this one, do check it out. I found a very crazy story regarding my family that you might be interested in. So thanks again for watching and I'll catch you next video.